let's start our live stream first. And I usually have to mute the YouTube so we don't get feedback from there. Oh yeah, look at that. It's muted. Okay. Got it. All right. My video is going. All right, let's do it. Wait, did you tell these guys what our agenda is?
I sent them the agenda for them to read.
So we'll do the music and a little maybe about 10, 15 minutes of intro stuff, and then
we'll loop you guys in.
Yeah, we'll loop you guys in.
Cheap bourbon whiskey and pearl snap shirts are two things that stay the same.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back, Geoholics. Epi 159, as they say in the biz. See how I shortened that? I didn't say episode.
159.
Yes. So, Producer Sean.
Yes, sir.
Are you a pearl snap kind of guy?
I do not know what that is.
You know all those Western shirts that got the pearl snaps?
Oh, yeah.
Very sharp.
Sure.
Yes.
I cannot pull off a pearl snap shirt.
I can't either.
Yeah, I wish I could, but man, that is just not me.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean,
I'm also not a bowler tie guy either, for the record.
I think it's bolo tie.
Sure.
That either.
Yeah, bolo. Yeah. Can't do that either.
Mark Taylor, are you a pearl snap kind of guy?
No, just when I'm on stage.
Yes, I can see that. Yes, it's great for the costume, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So, you know what? This is crazy. I mean, I know we had John Nelson on last week, and he's got a huge following, on Instagram and LinkedIn and everything. But holy crap, we are blowing up right now. We had like a 1-day download record.
1-day record.
But day before yesterday, I don't even remember at this point. One day, I can't remember what it was.
I think it was Tuesday.
But it was a single day download record. And it could be a number of things that has caused that. It could be John Nelson, absolute rock star.
I'm pretty sure it was John Nelson.
Could be the fact that we have teamed up with XYHT Magazine. And they did a full page spread in January.
Oh, I think that's got a big part of it as well.
And it could be Big Shoots.
And also Shoots came back. I mean, it provides a lot of value. I'm glad to be back. Sorry I missed last week. I was out sick with the dirty C.
Yes.
But I'm back to the land of the living, and it feels good to be back. But appreciate Shoots for stepping in. Did a really great job, and obviously the single day download record has to have something to do with him. So awesome stuff.
I think it's a combination of all three of those things.
Absolutely.
So the dirty C, the second time or third time?
Second time.
Second time. And
pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you adapted and overcame.
I am too.
Yep. Good to have you back. We missed you. I missed you for a week because obviously people listening, Sean and I work together. We share an office actually, and he was gone all week.
I know.
I was having Sean withdrawals.
Yeah, it was a little piece of Sean that's just not there.
It just wasn't the same. I was sending texts. So I miss you, buddy.
I know. It was sweet.
And you never responded. So I was crushed.
Yeah. Well, that's just me.
And of course we got Mark Taylor.
Hey.
How are you, man?
Fabulous, mate.
Always branding. That's one thing I love about you, man. Always branding. You're at that. I don't think I've ever seen you. Have I ever seen you without your shirt on?
Yeah, we can't discuss that.
So every time I see you, you've always got the extreme shirt on, the drone geek hat turned around backwards, always looking the part. Kudos to you for your branding. I know it's a big thing. You do a phenomenal job.
Thanks.
Other than that, how have you been?
I don't know how to cope. I was telling Sean in the parking lot, my time management style was throw more time at it and just get up earlier, but how early can one get up and how late can one go to bed? It's a hell of a struggle, but we're very blessed, and thanks to a lot of the listeners for their support of our drone operation and now our new LiDAR self-flying drone scans, and it's just an incredible opportunity we have this year.
Yep. So don't they call that, I don't know what they call it in the UK, but here they call it like burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys do that over there?
Yeah. We're famous for it.
Yeah.
That's why the pubs are open late, mate.
I'm jealous about that. So I have some big news.
Yeah.
What's that?
I found out recently that I have a half brother
Oh yeah, that's
that I did not know about.
This is crazy.
It is a crazy, crazy story. I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but it started kind of coming to light about November-ish. I got word that there was this gentleman out there that was Mark just spilled his whiskey. I don't think, or is it leaking?
It's leaking.
Oh, it's leaking. Oh,
okay.
Well, you can't blame him for that one. Or don't let that go to waste.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
You guys can share that glass. It's fine.
Where's my straw?
Yeah.
Oh, there's some right there. Get those Clorox wipes right there.
Yeah, continue with your story.
I'll continue my story.
We'll
you guys
take care
clean
of
up. Yeah. So it's about November start coming down the pipe that there is, a gentleman out there saying that, his father was my father. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. If it's true, that's great. Welcome him with open arms. This is awesome. Another family member. My family's small as it is, so this would be fantastic. But I told him, I'm like, listen, it's fantastic if it's true, but I'm one of these type people that I have to have proof, right? Mm-hmm. So it took me a while to come to grips with it, and I did the DNA thing, and long story short, it connected us as half siblings, blah, blah, blah. And the really cool thing is he's coming out here this weekend. So after this show is released, it'll have already happened, but he's coming out here this weekend. And we're going to spend a good long weekend together, getting to know each other. He's bringing his girlfriend, get the families together. And it's going to be great. Had a 2-hour conversation with him. Seems like the nicest guy in the world. So it's pretty exciting.
It's always good to add family you didn't know you had.
Yep.
Yes.
And especially it appears he's not a terrible person. So it's even better.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my big news.
Congrats.
Top that.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope.
Got nothing.
No, I ain't got nothing.
All right. Sean, tell us about that opening number.
Oh, Jason Boland and the Stragglers. That was a song called Pearl Snaps. For the past 20 years, Jason Boland and the Stragglers have dazzled audiences all over, one of the leading ambassadors of Oklahoma and Texas music movement. With over 500,000 records sold independently and 10 albums later, Boland is a career musician whose legacy continues to grow. From his early days touring in cramped vans and playing in front of tiny bar crowds to the packed venues he performs in today, Boland's uncompromising approach has led to an impact on the music scene that is undeniable.
Hey, I got to tell you, I was not aware of Jason Boland and the Stragglers until today. And
that's good stuff. Yeah, we checked that out a little today. That's good.
Spent my ride in this morning, listened to a little Stragglers, and I got to tell you,
yeah,
kind of like them.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You know what I wasn't aware of? I just noticed that when Sean reads, he doesn't blink.
Ooh.
We should replay that video because it's perfect for
Did you notice that when Sean reads, my lips move?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I do notice that.
So I want to know where the puppet arm's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You sure still. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's great. Because he's so focused. He's so focused.
I know.
I'm dialed
Such
in.
an intense individual, that guy. All right. Speaking of intense individuals, we are, of course, in the Mentoring Mondays studio this evening.
Oh, yes.
And if you're not familiar with Mentoring Mondays, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to learn from some of the influencers in the geospatial world. You can find them at mentoringmondays.xyz. And of course, Trent Keenan is behind that. And I got to spend a little time with Trent Keenan this past weekend. He was in town running his 48th half marathon.
Wow.
48th half marathon. So he was in town running the
it was a rock and roll marathon.
Rock and roll marathon.
Yeah.
Yep. Really funny story. Hopefully he doesn't get mad at me for sharing this, but so we didn't get there for the start of the race because first it was early
And it was raining.
Second, it was pouring rain. And I'm like, I'm not going out there to watch him in the pouring rain. And so we knew about what time he was going to finish. It was like 10:15, 10:20, whatever. So we get down there in plenty of time to see him cross the finish line. And he comes around this corner, you know, the home stretch, getting to the finish line. And I'm looking at him and, you know, I give him a high five as he goes by. I'm like, what is going on? So here's the deal. He had, of course, all like Mark Taylor, you know, master of branding. He's got his Diamondback land surveying t-shirt with the cutoff sleeves on. And I'm sure it had to do with a lot of things, but the rain and everything, his shirt was rubbing on his nipples. So freaking bad.
He was bleeding.
That they started bleeding.
Yeah,
so he comes
nipple.
around the corner. What is it called?
Jogger's nipple.
He had jogger's nipple. Yeah. Comes around the corner and he's got like 2 blood stains on his shirt from that. And afterwards, I'm talking. I'm like, dude, I gotta be honest with you. First of all, I would rather ride my bike 50 miles than jog or run 5 miles. But as soon as I saw my nipples were bleeding, done. Count me out.
If you go to a running store, Kent, which clearly you never have,
Ever.
they actually sell nipple bandages.
Do they?
So you don't, because for whatever reason, your nipples go rock hard when you run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when you run?
Well, I'm banned from content tonight. So, but when I'm hanging out with my shorter than average homies, yes, it's often the topic of conversation.
So interesting. I did not know that. But he was like, he goes, out of 48 half marathons that he's ever done, this is the first time he's ever ran the rain. Crazy.
I love running in the rain.
Crazy. But it's great. It was great to see Trent. Always great to talk to. Awesome energy. And he's got some really cool things coming up this next year. So it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
Next up, Sean, are you ready for this?
I am.
Are you prepared?
I am.
This is a new segment. This is the Airworks somewhat random trivia.
Somewhat random trivia.
Yes. Do you have something?
I do. A little factoid about, and this came up earlier. I think it was late last week, or maybe it was a couple days ago. I was trying to put in some coordinates, lat long, and it kind of came up of how much is the distance of a degree, minute, and second on a map, or on physically the planet. So, and believe it or not, I have the answer. And obviously it does change depending on where in the globe you are, because the globe's, a round ball. And
are you sure? I thought all surveyors thought it was flat.
A topic of a different conversation, a different podcast.
Okay.
But they do vary, and a degree, minute, or second of latitude remains fairly constant from the equator to the poles. It gets a little distorted when you get really, above the Arctic and Antarctic circle.
Would that be the Mason-Dixon line?
No, that's a completely different podcast.
Different
podcast.
Yeah. And degree, minute, and second of longitude can vary a lot more as you get closer to the poles.
Sure.
But in general, at 38 degrees north latitude, which is about where we're a little lower than that, but that's kind of runs down the middle of the country, Stockton, California, and Charlottesville, Virginia. And 1 degree of latitude equals approximately 364,000 feet, which is about 69 miles.
Wow.
1 minute equals 6,068 feet, about 1.15 miles, and 1 second equals 101 feet.
That's interesting.
It is.
And also 1 degree of longitude equals about 288,000 feet, about 55 miles. 1 minute equals 4,800 feet, about 0.9 miles. And 1 second equals 80 feet.
80 feet.
80 feet.
80 feet. I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Jeopardy stuff right there.
It is. Phrase that in a question.
What is a very hard thing to describe about a globe?
Oh, man.
And I believe the 38th north latitude is kind of close to the Mason-Dixon line. It did run in between the border of North Carolina and Virginia out until it hits about something in the Midwest, and then it kind of dissipates from there.
Yeah, I know there's a latitude, and I don't know what it is off the top of my head, unfortunately, but there's a latitude where wine grows really, really good. And I know there's or certain types of wine, certain type of grape. Wine doesn't grow. Grapes grow.
Grapes do grow.
Yeah.
Yes. They're not printed.
No, they're not printed. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But there's a latitude, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was, but I know there's a winery or vineyard called
That's named that latitude. Yeah.
Yep. Super cool.
Because isn't where all the where all the lettuce is grown is on the 32nd parallel, right?
Really?
With all the sun down in Yuma. Does that make sense?
Am I
33rd, maybe.
Okay.
That's 32nd's a little low, because I think we're in Arizona, Phoenix about 33, and according to this, 1 degree is 55 miles.
So that would make
69 miles south. So it might be about close. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah, it might be. I think there's a Jimmy Buffett song that summarizes all this up.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Isn't there everything that he sings summarizes things in life?
Of course. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, next up, the Advanced Geodetic Surveys, also known as AGS, Weekly Words of Wisdom. So I'm not sure. I was trying to figure out why this quote caught my eye, and then it hit me. So Sean challenged me last week through this meditation app that we both have. It was like the Dalai Lama meditation challenge or whatever. And I start out, boom, out of the gate. Okay. And then I didn't do shit because I was too busy missing Sean. And
it is stressful.
I started back up, and the first one I did was how to calm the monkey brain.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When you can't focus.
Yes, when you can't focus. The other day, I'm sitting at the office, and I swear to you, I could not focus on something for more than 60 seconds without my brain jumping to something else.
Well, I'm sorry. What?
How was that different from any other day?
Hey, yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Standard.
Well, usually it's like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
But this is
usually
like
it's 2 minutes.
60 seconds. It was horrible. So I got off track there just a little bit, but here's the quote. Okay. An American monkey, after getting drunk on brandy, would never touch it again, and thus is much wiser than most men.
Interesting.
Yep. Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin.
Must be talking about the frat days.
Oh, I don't even remember them.
I can also say that I tried brandy once and won't ever also touch it again.
It's horrible.
So maybe we should give the monkey a good 12-year bourbon and see how he likes that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So if Ken was a monkey, would he be a spider monkey,
Wait,
a pygmy marmoset, a chimp? No, he's not a chimp. He's
So
not
get this.
athletic.
You're going to love this on that note.
Your spirit animal is a monkey?
A Neanderthal. I got
Cro-Magnon man? I don't think
no,
so.
when I got my DNA stuff back,
Oh, really?
I have
You said you were part Neanderthal?
It's like 73% Neanderthal.
But you
Not
don't drag your
surprised.
That
knuckles.
explains so much.
It really,
That
really
explains
does.
So much. Yeah. So funny. All right, let's get out of this stuff. Jeez, oh my
Do you
goodness.
throw poop?
Who?
Do you throw poop?
No.
Again,
I don't think
topic
so.
for a different podcast.
Okay, copy. Just checking.
I do like alternative sports, but I don't know if I like that one.
That one is coming to the Ocho next summer.
Oh man, let's get our guests in here. They're chomping at the bit, I'm sure, or they're scared out of their minds.
Right. Let's see if they're still on.
All right. First off, we got Bill Swope with us. Bill, you've been on a time or two before, but you know what? I'm going to let you do a real quick, brief self introduction. Just name who you work for, what you do, and maybe I don't know, what's your favorite animal?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. My name's Bill Swope. I work for Half Associates out of the Richardson, Texas office. I'm a certified photogrammetrist. I've known Kent for, gosh, I don't know, over 10 years, I would think at this point, easily.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's probably, to be honest with you, it's probably more like 15
Maybe
years.
20.
Isn't that crazy?
20. Yeah, time flies when you're getting old. Favorite animal? I'm probably partial to dogs, although I have a cat and not a dog right now. So
Cats are cool, man.
Cats are cool.
Cats are way cool.
yeah, he's outside right now chasing rabbits, so maybe he'll come in a little while.
It's all fun and games until the coyotes get them.
Right. Well, yeah, and around here, that's or bobcats. I've had bobcats in my front yard here too. So.
Yep.
So an interesting aside, when I met my wife, I had a Dosnoy Sphinx cat, which is the hairless cat, but it's gray, not like Mr. Bigglesworth. And the best thing about those cats is they're like dogs. They'll come and want you to throw balls and play with them. And I could actually walk chamois off leash to the mailbox and walk back, and she wouldn't get distracted.
Wow.
And she'd come and bring you a grape. Find a grape, she'd jump up on the counter, pull a grape off, and then bring it over to you, and then I'd bite it in half, and then she'd eat the other half. It was like super cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the ultimate date trick when you brought a woman home. They were like, "That's incredible! You trained your cat to do that?" No,
Wait, this was your wife's cat.
no. When
you
I
were
first met my wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah, when I was still dating. Yes. Point of clarification. But there's a funny story involving a wiener and my kitty cat.
Of course there is.
So,
Of
but-
course
yes.
there is. Yes.
For another podcast.
What I got out of that is his cat was a chick magnet.
Oh,
Yes.
All right,
Work to get him a wife.
Yeah, we got Cody Condren with us as well. Cody, welcome to the Geoholics. First time for Cody. I know he was a little nervous before the show, and I'm sure that what has transpired over the last 15 minutes is not making it any better.
all those nerves.
Yeah,
Cody,
Cody
thanks,
Condren.
thanks for being
Go
here,
ahead,
man.
sir.
Go ahead. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, still a little nervous, but I'm going to make it through it. I work for KCI Technologies. I'm the regional practice leader for them, mainly in Texas, but all through the Southwest region. licensed land surveyor, certified photogrammetrist, and certified mapping scientist, UAS. Favorite animal would probably be a fish because they are no maintenance and I have allergies. So I don't like to take care of things. Just myself. That's about all I can take care of.
There you go.
Love it. Love it. And one thing you failed to mention there, you are also a huge Jason Boland and the Stragglers fan.
I am. My girlfriend likes to dance, and that's what she pulls me out and gets me on the dance floor for.
Nice. So Cody and Bill, question for you guys. Are either one of you Pearl Snap guys?
Mm.
I can't pull it off either. Can't pull it off.
All right.
I kind of hesitate to answer that question, actually, but I do have one shirt that has pearl snaps on it.
Okay. I think that's more than
I
this.
think I've seen you play, Bill, with wearing one.
Oh,
yeah. maybe.
You know what, Bill? We'll take a break. Can you go get it?
Yeah. We'll wait.
We'll wait.
I can get it at any time you want.
Go for it.
All right. So I do have a icebreaker question for everybody. And Bill, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Okay. This is good. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or be in a coma for a decade?
Coma for a decade.
Kind of easy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Cody?
Same. I couldn't think of being in jail. I'm claustrophobic. That's just too much.
Oh, okay. So it's unanimous so far. Mr. Taylor?
Well, clearly I'm so beautiful I'd be tossed around like a bunny in prison. So I'm going for a coma, mate.
It would take a big dude to toss you around like a bunny rabbit.
But those guys do exist in prison.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That would be absolutely frightening. And if I was in a coma in a prison, they could do whatever they wanted because I wouldn't know. So
that would be option C.
Option C. Yes.
Is this going to be unanimous, Sean?
Oh, yeah. Who in their right mind would take 5 years in jail versus being in a coma where you don't remember any of it. You just wake up and I'm assuming someone's, cleaned you throughout that time. So
think about what could change. Think about what could change in 10 years. A lot.
But you're really only talking about what could change in 5 years.
Yeah. But you can also, if you're in jail for 5 years, you can have conjugal visits and you can stay abreast of everything that's changing.
I don't think that's a standard thing for everyone. No, it's not. No, that's only in certain types of low security.
Oh.
Let's put it this way. In 5 years in prison, you are going to be a changed man. In 10 years in a coma, you need a lot of physiotherapy, but you're still the same human being.
And I guess it might depend on, can you still walk and talk and function like a normal human after that 10 years?
There's a lot to it. It's a crappy question, right, guys?
It clearly is terrible.
It's a fantastic question.
Kent, are you saying that you are in the 5 years of prison camp?
Of course he
is. I think that I'd probably opt for prison. It's only 5
Really?
It's only 5 years.
You would rather remember 5 years or not remember? You just wake up and it's happened to be 10 years later.
I just had to say that because I knew it was going to drive you insane.
It really does.
I know. All right, let's do something productive here. What do you guys think?
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Bill, how long have you been at half?
I'm coming up on 4 years at half now. I started in June of 2019. So a few years now.
Tell us everything we need to know about Half and Associates.
Let's see. So Half is a Texas-owned company, employee-owned company as well. We're in 5 states now. So Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Florida. We jump a couple states there. We're a full architectural, civil engineering, surveying. You name it. The only thing we really don't do is geotechnical. And so a rather big firm. We're about 1,300 people now across the 5 states. Wow. And really jumped into, I thought this was a banking show at first, but I'll modify things. Really jumped into the geospatial realm here a few years ago. So I feel really lucky to be there.
Awesome. Cody, tell us about KCI.
Yeah, so we're a full service engineering firm, originally based out, or still based out of Baltimore, Maryland, but we spread out. We're 50 offices, 23 states, founded in 1955. We're now I believe the largest 100% employee owned
Oh, wow.
ESOP and
Nice.
engineering firm,
Mhm.
not all firms.
Very good.
And based on your accent, you're clearly not in Baltimore.
No, sir. I'm in Texas.
Awesome. How long have you been at KCI?
Since 2019, actually July. So a month after Bill went over to half, I started over with KCI. And funny story, I actually started my career at half back in 04.
That's great. Yeah, small world.
Yeah, I run into those people a lot. It seems like so. Half's been around since the '50s. So yeah, there's a lot of folks out there.
Yep. And how do you guys know each other, Cody and Bill?
Well, it was. Go ahead, Cody.
I was just going to say through ASPRS, our association, Bill he was a more active member. He reached out to me, said, let's get going, get it more active in Texas and see what we can get started. And I guess we'll go into a little bit more detail on that a little bit later.
Yeah. Well, we can jump into it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill. So you've been involved. First of all, tell us what ASPRS stands for. Let's start there.
Sure. Yeah. It's a mouthful. So it's the American Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. It's been in existence here since the 30s in the U.S. Started out obviously with photogrammetry, as that was the first thing that it was aligned with when we started, and then they added other categories. ASPRS offers certifications. So I'm a certified photogrammetrist. Cody's a certified photogrammetrist and a certified mapping scientist. So they offer certifications in 5 different geospatial categories right now. And so I've been involved since, I'm trying to think, right back about 2007, Kent. I got reinvigorated with ASPRS about 2019 when I moved over to half. As you know, I've been really involved with surveying associations my whole career. And half was like, we've got a lot of surveyors, so why don't we have you go into a different space? And so, I was already a member of ASPRS, and I said, let me start looking into that. And I was also interested because they weren't really active in the state of Texas back then at all. Texas was part of what was called the Mid-South region, which still exists in ASPRS. But after I started getting involved in ASPRS, I got interested in starting something in Texas. And was looking into a chapter, and then after I started talking to the folks at ASPRS, they kind of walked me back into, hey, we're more of a region focused society, and they had a big region, which was the Mid-South, which Texas was a part of, and we started talking about realigning that region to make it a little bit more manageable. At the time, I believe it was 9 states that went all the way from Texas across to Georgia, and up to as far as Kentucky, if I'm remembering things right here. And so after it was a little bit of time, once I started to look into it and got involved with the Region Officers Council, but I found Cody right away. And a great thing about him was it was exactly as he said. When I first got in touch with Cody to see if he was interested in this, he didn't hesitate. He said, yeah, I'm all in. Let's see what we can get done. And so we started working on the realignment. After about 1.5 years, we had things pretty much done as far as what they needed to have. As National needed a lot of paperwork and stuff to do to make that work for their charter. And so in March of 2021, we kind of launched things out, and I was the first president of the region. Cody was the first VP. And we have a succession from moving from VP to immediate past president. So we brought in somebody for our first immediate past president, Cliff Meunier from Louisiana, who was at Louisiana State University and was just about to retire. And we thought it would be a nice gesture to have him be the first immediate past president of a brand new region after he had done so much for ASPRS over the years.
Wow. I got 2 things I want to circle back on. First of all, I'm familiar with the certified photogrammetrist certification, but I am not familiar with the certified mapping scientist certification. Talk about that, Cody.
Yeah. So there are different portions of it. It's certified mapping scientist for remote sensing, for LiDAR, for GIS, LIS, and then for UAS is the newest one. the UAS one is the one I have. I was actually lucky to get number one because I was the first one to get certified for it.
Congrats.
That's cool.
And there's two different levels of certification. Is the level that we have, and then there's the technologist below it. Certified is the professionals, the one signing, going through it, sealing the different types of drawings, and then your technologists are more of your working group, the guys that are in the technology and getting the things done for you.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it, man.
So I've looked at, guys, if you don't know, I run a drone company and I pretend to survey stuff. How Ken and I actually met was a little bit of a discussion about me using the word survey, and I reminded him that when I got up in the morning, I would drink my cup of coffee and survey all of my estate in front of me, and then reminded him that I wasn't surveying, the drone was. So, but I love Ken.
Hey, no rules for tools.
Exactly. So my question to you is, I've actually looked in depth into the ASPRS certification. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't getting like the UAS part down, and not necessarily on the photogrammetry side, but doesn't it take 18 months, 2 years? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, it's
No,
longer, longer than that for the CMS, and the difference between the CP and the CMS are considered the same thing, on the same level as each other. CP was just the first thing that specifies photogrammetry more, and was the first category that the ASPRS had. And so they came up with certified mapping scientists because they wanted to have other categories, and obviously those weren't photogrammetric. But so the main difference between the technologist and the CMS or CP level is your time in industry. So roughly 3 years for the technologist level, and 6 years for the certified level or professional level. So ostensibly, if you get your technologist after you go up for your first renewal after 3 years, you could go ahead and just sit for your CMS or CP if you had the relevant type of work experience behind you, and that's what you wanted to do. You know, you can elect to stay as a technologist if you want to as well.
Yeah, we've been doing it since 2014, but I made a move this year to. I've got 2 geospatial scientists with 3 PhDs between them, and that's alleviated a lot of stress because I don't want to be the guy signing and stamping, and I just want to fly drones and look pretty. But it's very important.
You got half of that.
Yeah, and you're really good at the first one.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's why. That's exactly why I think prison would be a much better option for you.
No. Unless a buddy of mine could drone in some stuff for me, but. Yeah, no, it's fascinating because I think there needs to be a lot of legitimacy. I mean, photogrammetry has been around for a while, but I mean, Cody, to your point, you brought in LiDAR and different payloads and all the rest of it. There needs to be a comfort level in the UAS space because we're pitched by so many software companies that make promises, right? Yeah. And if someone tells me it's survey grade, I just hang up on them because it's not, right. There's a process and an SOP that has to be defensible in everything that we do. And I think the market is flooded. So I'm a big fan of your organization, and you've re-engaged me to be more motivated to actually go through the process. My challenge is, you know, fat and fabulous as I am, I don't have enough bandwidth left in my brain. So lately I've been referring the movie Johnny Mnemonic. Keanu Reeves, where he'd plug into upload stuff and delete stuff, so I could delete a lot of bad memories and fit more photogrammetry shit in my head. I'd be all for it. But thank you for being the champions that you are of the industry and legitimizing it, because there's a lot of drone operators out there that absolutely need to be involved.
I think your first step should be purge the porn. If you purge the porn, you'll have plenty of bandwidth.
Are you talking about in his brain?
Yes.
Oh,
Johnny Mnemonic. He's talking about.
Yeah. No, Kent, that's you. Stop transmogrifying onto me. Another word.
Made up.
Just made up words again.
Go look
not
it up.
A word.
Yes.
Not a word.
Every podcast, I've deliberately found a word that will Twitterpate. That's another word.
Bullshit.
That will Twitterpate Kent.
And have you noticed any of the crime shows? It's impossible to purge the porn. They always find it. It's always in there somewhere. Yes. No matter what.
I am so glad I have never looked at porn in my life.
Good for you.
Good for you, Ken. Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Is this the point where I'm allowed one comment about his penis, aren't I?
Yes, you're allowed one comment about his
Yes.
penis.
Okay. That's yes. Kent, if you had,
You should save it. You should
You
save
should
it.
save it.
You should save it.
man, it was a good one too.
So, Cody, Mark mentioned something there that is I don't want to call it a point of contention, but a point that I believe needs to be clarified. Survey grade. What does that mean?
Are you asking Mark or are you asking?
I'm asking Cody. Like, how do you define survey grade? I hear people throw that out there all the time. Survey grade accuracy. What the hell does that mean?
Really nothing. I mean,
Boom.
they're saying, oh, it's coming in at this accuracy and it meets, like here at Texas, our state board minimal standards on most things is 1/10 for horizontal, closer to 2/10 on vertical. Yeah, you're using a drone that will spit out, here's your accuracy, but you're not even going through the true photogrammetry steps to check that. And as you know, in surveying, it's all about checking and checking and checking and making sure and being able to prove what you're doing. When I came through college, our big new thing was GPS. It was doing the transition from the older GPS to the ones where everybody could have it. It was cheaper and using it. And people were using like a black box. They'd go out and just whatever it gave them, it's good. It's right. No checks. And I compare it to that without doing those extra things outside of the program that they give you to run it. You're just taking a gamble of whether it's correct or not and getting those right precisions.
So for me, when I talk survey grade, one, I employ the guys here at Alta. They go out and lay out. I give them a target layout. They go burn in the points. I make them do a three-minute burn on each of the targets. We get the correct coordinate system. I get their GC3 or JXL file. We get some additional check shots. We run it through a manual photogrammetry. We do our tie-in, our bundle adjustments, and then after it's all said and done, we have them run back out and ground truth it. How do you feel about that?
So when you're running your check shots, and are you running those same check shots through the program?
Yes.
Then you're not doing it correctly. They should be completely independent, because if you run it through.
Got it. Yes. No, I see. After we process everything, then we bring them back in and align it, and then send the data and have them go tie back into our.
So it's got to be
points.
independent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got to be independent.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
The final
Right,
product has them included. Forgive me for not clarifying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going through the procedures where it's basically a secondary check that's independent, and you're proving it. That's how, if you look at our ASPRS certification or standards that we sign off to, that's what it's all based on. It went through, back 20 years ago, photogrammetry was based on film and they had your scale factor. Well, that's gone. It's digital. And that now with the digital we go, and that's where you get in that your accuracy. And if you come through it and truly run through those precisions, then you can go to your next thing of creating your contours or your DTM, by those accuracies and following the same procedures if you're doing a normal topographic survey or Alta survey or anything.
Correct. Yeah. No, that's very good.
And I think the two words that you said there, Mark, that are the most important are ground truthing.
Yeah.
I mean, as a photogrammetrist, I rely on surveyors for what I consider, due to standards, 95% of the work.
Yeah.
I mean, we're actually doing the work, but you know what I mean, that it's being able to hit those accuracies that you're stating that you can do, and being able to go out and map things. There's some aesthetics that are involved with mapping, of course. The definition of photogrammetry involves that. It's a science and an art form, the science and art technology. But I think what a lot of folks are doing, and what Kent was kind of referring to when we start to talk about UAS, and it's the first thing when you're a photogrammetrist or surveyor, is are they doing the correct things that they should be doing? Are they doing ground control the way that they should be doing it right? Are they doing blind spots? Do they have those out there? Are they checking those? Are they running checks? That's one thing. A lot of folks don't even run checks. They rely on the software. They're the folks that we refer to as the button pushers, or the folks that are relying on the software. And the issue that I see is when there is a problem, because that's when these folks don't know how to resolve the problem. That's how we get a lot of work at HAF, is resolving those problems. But the fundamental issue I see for the industry with that is that when that happens, the client is soured on using UAS for surveying and mapping.
Yes.
And in my experience, generally the cost that was paid for that was very an undercutting cost.
Right.
And it's usually because those smaller companies don't have, like companies like Cody and my companies, the extended resources that we have and the technologies that we've invested into, which bump our price up a little bit, but it adds capabilities and capacity to what we do and efficiency to what we do.
Yeah, I mean, you take some of the photogrammetry software out there, like Drone Deploy, for example. They're really governed by the VC guys who have a profit model that they need to make, and they're quoting the deliverables, and it's survey grade, and you can design and build from it. But at the end of the day, when there's an error and they can't prove to or won't prove to the AI and how it actually came up with that formulary that, oh my God, we were 3,000ths on the job site. No, you weren't. There's no way. Right? And then they won't share with you. You're absolutely screwed. We have to be able to prove, okay, how do we translate into this local coordinate system, and why is it 2-foot blip, right?
Yeah.
So as I say, I always go back to this phrase of defensible, and to meet two guys with your pedigree is wonderful for me. So #man crush.
#jealous.
Well, yeah. But here's the other thing that I wanted to drive home to tonight, Ken, about this all. Part of the reason that we started the Gulf South region in Texas was to address issues like this. And from my perspective, it's not to push those companies out of the space. Right. It's to educate those companies and bring them up to the level where I think they should be, and go from there. Yep. We're not a regulatory agency. That's not our job. However, I don't have a problem, and Cody knows this, with when I get marketed by somebody that when I check them out and they don't have any kind of surveying or mapping background in the company, and they're profession to be UAS professionals, I'll write them and say why I disagree with that and what they're doing wrong and what they need to do right. I understand it takes a little bit of time and experience, but that's what we want, is somebody who's got some time in and some experience with what they're doing to make sure that the projects and the public's welfare, the public safety, are being taken care of.
And that's why Kent and I mean, that's how Kent and I found each other. Yeah. It was contentious in the beginning, and he was kind enough to educate me and get around the marketing crap and show me the secret sauce, as it were. And that's why I'm so proud of the quality of the work that we do, and why for a little firm of ours, we invested in these two scientists. It's an expensive proposition, but it means that our data is as infallible as it can be.
One thing I'm glad you clarified there. Well, that we met as a result of a mapping disagreement per se.
Absolutely.
Because up until that point, I guarantee most of our listeners thought it was through Grindr.
They probably did, yes. Yes. Yeah. Because I'm the pygmy marmoset on Grindr. Yes. My monkey brain.
So Cody's in a unique situation because, I mean, Bill Swope, certified photogrammetrist. Cody, look at him on LinkedIn. The guy's got more acronyms after his name than anybody I know. He's a registered professional land surveyor. He's a professional land surveyor. He's a certified photogrammetrist. He's a certified mapping scientist. I'd have to believe, Cody, that makes you pretty much an expert, correct?
Ooh, you can't really use that term, can you?
That's an opinion.
An opinion, yes. You're the man, the myth, and legend in your own mind.
What you should say is, others may regard him as an expert.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, but in all honesty, I mean, it is. I think it gives tremendous credibility. When I don't know too many surveyors that are also certified photogrammetrists, and definitely none that are certified mapping scientists. So I think it does put you in a unique situation to be able to have certain conversations that can be very influential.
Yeah. And that's really how I got my certification for photogrammetry. I was first 10 years of my career doing only land surveying. Came from second generation land surveyor. My dad owned a small surveying firm. And then when the firm I was with said, we want to go into this new area of getting drones and all of that, I had the exposure through college, had been doing some photogrammetry, of course, doing all the control for those. But I told him, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to go through, if we're going to go that route, I want to go all the way. And once I got into it, it's great that you brought that up, because I saw a huge gap between the understanding of photogrammetry and land survey. And I didn't understand why there's the gap between the two industries talking to each other when they're so dependent on each other.
Yeah.
And used to surveyors say, oh no, we're not dependent on photogrammetry. Well, you are now. I mean, especially with drones and everything being pushed and more using it, it's intertwined on almost every project.
So I got one for you. I delivered a project yesterday with 24,000 points on line work for a chip seal and line restoration road project. We had 2 points that were 4 inches off in the same area within 500 feet of each other. Is that a bad result? 2 points out of 24,000? Because the client is losing their mind.
Where are the points?
I would think that.
I mean,
Here's the
where are the points? Where's the issue at? That's I mean, that would be the first.
So what it
that
turned
doesn't
out
seem
to be was,
too
yeah, it's not, it was 0.001%. And then we explained, here is our points, here are your points, we're exporting them. Now they're in your TBC program and you have an anomaly. Is it possible that someone, when they were clicking and checking, accidentally snapped the line? And that's where they're like, nope, it's not possible. We're perfect. I'm like, okay, well then just delete the points. Do the lines now line up? Yeah. Okay. Can we get past the 2 points?
I think the people are, like, clients are expecting perfection.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist.
No,
it doesn't exist.
Well, and that's the other aspect of this whole thing with all the new technologies. We're kind of part of the problem here. We're telling everybody, you get greater efficiencies. We can do all this stuff. We can give you complete data sets.
Yep.
We can. There's a cost to it. And that's the thing. But it's part of what comes with the territory, but it gives us a lot more. It gives surveyors, is what I should say. I say us, but I'm referring to actually the survey crowd. It gives them a lot more options and flexibility with which to do a project.
Yeah.
At HAF, we do UAS, we do manned photogrammetry and LiDAR data collection and processing. We have mobile LiDAR system, a Trimble MX9 that we use all the time. And we're doing terrestrial, LiDAR, which surveyors have been doing for a long time. But we're extending that now into building information modeling, scan to BIM. ArcGIS has new indoor mapping program that's out that we're looking into. How do we take advantage of that? So I don't really even look at myself as a photogrammetrist anymore. I look at myself more as a remote sensing professional, because I mean, that's what I'm having to deal with. I work within our survey practice. That's where our geospatial group is at. And so we're working constantly with our surveyors, our own engineers, and also with outside clients. But I may get a call about a mobile LiDAR job as much as I might get a call about, can you get somebody out to do aerial acquisition for us? And sometimes it's a matter of figuring out which tool is the best, because what are they? They're tools in the surveyor's toolbox is all they are.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that you have to use them. It means you pick the one that's most appropriate. And it could be a conventional 2-man crew going out to collect data.
Yes.
So it's all about the deliverables, and a lot of times the client don't understand the true deliverables they need.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I'm sure Cody can speak to this with all that, letters after his name, for
Alphabet
sure.
soup.
I'm sure he has an answer for this. But how much time, Cody, do you spend educating your clients?
Oh God.
A ton. So when I approach a project, I usually start with the deliverable. What are you looking at? What do you really want? Yep. And then I work backwards and go through, like Bill was saying, what tools do we really want to use? This is how we want to use it. This is how we want to do it. Because you have to. They know what they want, but they don't really know besides, I hear LiDAR is great. You need to use LiDAR on this. No, not necessarily.
No. I get frustrated if I can share a little bit on my soapbox, is clients get frustrated when I'm going through the investigative process of what they really want. And it has come down where some engineers are like, just give me my shit. I'm like, well, I'm trying to understand what type of shit. Do you want runny shit, solid shit? What exactly do you want? And in fact,
solid shit.
And in fact, yesterday I'm like, what you're asking me is, I'm going to ask you the reverse question. I need 1 million square foot. I'm like, pardon? Well, I need 1 million square foot. Well, what do you mean? Well, I'm thinking 1 million square foot warehouse. Well, no, maybe it should be 1 million square foot multifamily, because that's what you're asking me. But you're getting frustrated with me asking the right questions to give you the right deliverables, so you realize we represent.
Because they don't know.
Because they don't know. Well, I just call the aerial guy and he'll just do what I ask him to do. I go,
oh yeah.
No, they don't. You've still got to have the question. And I'm sorry, I'm asking you what a geoid is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, what coordinate system?
Yeah, and it comes down to the right tool in many cases is all you're trying to find out. I just had, I was looking at a project in a little town in Northeast Texas, and I was going against a small drone company who had gone in and said that they could do in the small little downtown area with a drone what needed to be done. They weren't going to do that. Mobile LiDAR was the best tool for what we needed to do for that job. And we've submitted on it. Hopefully the client will see that as well. But I made sure to get with the engineer and go out and do a little bit of like what you were just saying. You have to go out and educate the client on what your capabilities are and the best uses of those tools and capabilities that you have, and how that affects your capacity too, because having all these tools does affect our capacity in being able to complete jobs more quickly, more efficiently for them. And then you start to talk about data mining or data fusion, and these are different aspects that the client doesn't even think about. That you can repurpose data for different projects as long as you go in planning these projects right. You can use all sorts of different technologies to give them complete data sets. So we might fly something with a manned aircraft. We might use a drone on a little bit of it. We might have terrestrial LiDAR on it, and we might do mobile LiDAR if that's what the job calls for. And so again, I think it's a great way to have greater flexibility and give your clients more options on how you can do the project for them.
Yeah, the more data we collect, the less lifespan there is on the data. Like we've started looking in and doing scans and putting them out in a public workspace and saying, look, if you want this parcel of 500 acres, is the latest LiDAR that was done in the last 4 months, and it's stamped, and pay a fee for your usage. Saving them the expense and time of going out, making that data scalable and reusable, because let's be honest, the surface of the earth really doesn't change if it's in particular in Arizona or Texas. It's the same ranch that's been there for 100 years, right? There are some changes, but for the most part, for what people want in due diligence, it's more than adequate.
I have a question for this group. I'm just curious. Listening to you guys talk, and you mentioned a lot about training the clients, or going into detail. And I'm curious if you guys have thought about. I mean, it sounds like every time a client calls and says, "Hey, I need this," you have to start from the beginning of, okay, here's what LiDAR is, and here's what, and kind of go through the entire gamut of all of these different technologies just to get them to understand what they actually need. Have you thought about other ways to train, or maybe some more awareness, or, maybe just kind of open it up to how do we get our clients and really the public to understand more about everything that we're talking about here, without, like, you get a call and then all of a sudden it's a 20-minute dissertation on everything that and you probably got all this memorized by now. But have you given any thought about that, or how to expedite that, or make clients understand better?
Let me say one thing before we let our guests jump in here on this. Anytime that happens, and when I get an opportunity to educate a client about something, I look at that as a golden opportunity.
Yeah, for relationship.
Think so?
Building.
Absolutely. I love that part of it. I love that part of it. Because first off, they got to be willing to listen. Because so many times, especially like when drones first came on, on the scene, and immediately clients like, oh my God, I need this mapped, and I need it mapped with the drone. They don't know any better. They're just like, they hear about it. Like, this is the latest and greatest, But that is an opportunity to to educate, and that goes so far. Oh my gosh,
it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think? You guys are all saying the same thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but let me give you a reference point. For example, in my previous career as a mortgage banker, I went through the short sale crisis, right? So I had to talk about your tax exemption, your what is a short sale, and I created a video. And as best as I could do, it was 15 minutes long. It actually had a hell of a lot more questions because, like, well, that doesn't really pertain to me, but it did. So, and to Kent's point, I lost that relationship, and I don't. What you're asking for is scalability. I totally agree with it. There has to be better education, but every client's case seems to be different, or they feel that it's different. So we have to listen more, and through the listening, you build that relationship and that trust as the opinion of an expert.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious, especially with what Cody and Bill might have to say, but is it, what side is the more, who's more stubborn? The client that calls and says, oh, well, yeah, I got to have a drone no matter what, because I heard drones are cool, or, you know, the guy they call from the first thing that they find on Google that says, oh, well, I got this new fancy this equipment, and that's going to be the best thing for you no matter what, because it can deliver, as Mark will sometimes say, oh, I delivered 2 billion points on this and this and this because of all fancy and great it is, and because I spent so much money on the equipment, you got to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
And who's more stubborn?
Well, so I've done business development for a long time too, alongside with photogrammetry. And so if I get time in front of somebody and I can talk, I'm all in. I like Mark said, I want to build the relationship. Most of the clients that I work with are not I have new clients, but most of them aren't new clients. They're repeat clients. These guys are hungry for information too. And a lot of times they may know a little bit about it, but they don't know enough. And so I find that they appreciate us, educating them a little bit. And then they come back to me again the next time. So it's all about being a real consultant to your clients.
Yeah, there you go.
100%.
Yeah. And it's just, so anytime, I mean, I just want to have time in front of them. That's one of the things that we're trying to do at half this year is we've taken a look at a lot of the contracts that we have over the past couple of years and the work that we get from them. And there's some of these contracts that we get and we don't get any work out of. And the only thing that I can glean from that is that we have zero relationships with anybody that's procuring the work with those agencies. Right. And so until we get that, we might win the contract because of the name of the company, but we're not going to win any work because we don't know anybody and they don't know what we're capable of. And so that kind of goes hand in hand with it. As much time as I can get in front of a client to talk, I'll say the same things over and over again if I need to. That's okay.
Yep. And go ahead, Cody.
I was just going to add that it's a lot easier with the public agencies, because typically they love these lunch and learns and different things like that. You can get through and do that. The public, private, it's a lot harder because it is that one-to-one, but it is, like Bill and Trent, you said, just taking the time and going through it.
Yep, absolutely. And something you said earlier, Cody, I want to circle back on. You mentioned the black box, the infamous black box. Hey, it says it's right. It's got to be right, And it brings me back to a presentation that a local geodesist, Michael Dennis. Do you remember him, Bill? Does that name ring a bell?
It does sound familiar, but
yeah, he's a geodesist. The guy's absolutely brilliant. He's from Arizona originally, and he used to do this presentation called "The Ghost in the Machine," which was absolutely genius. He didn't write it about, drone UAV technology. He wrote about GPS, the ghost in the machine. Right. And it's like, hey, the GPS says this, it's got to be right. My PDOP is this is this, it's got to be right, but that is so dangerous in so many different ways. And I think a lot of times that the folks that are like selling this equipment and this software, it's like you have to be really, really careful. I'm not trying to call them out by any means, but the black box, the ghost in the machine, the people selling this equipment for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, make all these promises about it being survey grade accurate, and we got repeatability by the millimeters, blah blah blah. It's like, oh my gosh! I mean, you have to be really, really educated, or at least staying on top of current technology to see through some of that stuff.
You can't keep up.
You can't keep up. Yeah. What do you think?
No. And we've been dealing with that on the surveying side.
Absolutely.
Forever. I mean, they've always sold it way more. And unfortunately, it's trial and error. And until it gets out that it's not, that perfect machine that does everything,
Yep.
It's just us telling the public, oh no. And they think, well, you're just saying that because you want to sell us your work.
Yeah.
Do you guys see that getting any better or worse as time goes on and technology, quote unquote, improves?
I think that people are getting smarter as time goes on. So I hope it's going to get better, but at the same time, technology is advancing at such a rapid pace right now.
And all the sales guys, all they have to say is,
Yep.
No, buy this new one.
Yep.
Don't even have to worry about a thing. Push the button. You're dead on. Don't even think about it.
Yep. You don't have to calibrate. You don't have to localize. You don't need targets. I mean,
No, it drives me freaking nuts.
it's a slippery slope.
But I think a lot of those firms will naturally work themselves out of it. I'm looking at all this from a large perspective, if I can, and I'm talking about the UAS involvement. So, going back a few years, working at a small photogrammetric company that was kind of getting involved with UAS, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Was it where it needed to be? No. But can it do a lot of things that I couldn't do with large scale mapping? Yes. And that's kind of one of the reasons I got to HAF, because they were my first client when I got into Texas. And they brought a project to me, and they had somebody that was using UAS at HAF at that time. And I gave them a cost for a project. I won't go into the details of it because it's kind of a long story. But essentially what they did is they beat me on price and they beat me on schedule with UAS.
Yep.
And it was for a large scale mapping project, but it broke down into little pieces that they could do that were much more manageable with UAS.
Mm-hmm.
And they could get better data because of the UAS, where UAS flies, it's got a smaller footprint. It gives you better data because it's lower to the ground, right? And these were little areas that we were looking at, pad sites. And so once I kind of got that in my head that it's not going anywhere, it's going to be coming. That's when I thought, okay, the idea of integrating them into surveying and photogrammetry is going to be a much easier proposition than fending them off and trying to keep them away, because they're going to be there anyway. And so we as the Gulf South region, we reach out to some of the drone folks. We have a lot of surveyors like Cody on the board. So one of the things that I wanted to do when we started the Gulf South was to integrate surveying and photogrammetrists together. And ASPRS is involved in GIS and has a certification for GIS. And photogrammetry and surveying have been kind of apart from GIS from a long time. It's not the case anymore. I work with the GIS guys every day on a project that may involve indoor mapping or photogrammetry, what have you. And so I'm trying to get us at the Gulf South to bring in more GIS folks. And so for our conference that we're having this year, one of the plans that Cody and I came up with was to have the technical sessions based off of the categories that ASPRS had certifications in as best as we could. Yeah. And one of those would be GIS. I haven't got that GIS person that wants to do that session for me yet next June, but we're going to keep looking.
Nick.
If we don't, if we don't get up, well, I should actually reach out to Nick because he is in Texas now. I keep forgetting that.
Yep.
But I think it's important to not put yourself in a silo in the survey and photogrammetry world, but to open yourself up and try to work with those folks that maybe traditionally you haven't so much, and educate them and have that be part of the process instead.
Yeah, really well said, Bill. Cody, I do have a question for you. There's just a couple more things I want to make sure we touch on for sure, but LiDAR. Okay. LiDAR has been like that word, you know how they say like the word for 2022 or the word for 2021, whatever. For me, when I go to these conferences and stuff like that, all I hear about is LiDAR. It's the greatest, boom, end all be all. If you're not using LiDAR, don't waste your time. Cody, tell me about LiDAR.
It's just another tool, and it has its place. There are certain areas that photogrammetry is better than LiDAR. Same thing with scanning. I do use the terrestrial scanning or LiDAR more and more for what I used to use traditional surveying for, just for the simple fact that it catches so much and I don't have to worry about my crew missing something. But they also, one of the big things I get with clients is they think, okay, you've cut your field time in half.
Oh yeah, I was
yes.
doing that.
But now our office time is 3 times as much. They don't understand that. And you have to educate that part of it, because just because you're doing it faster in the field doesn't make it cheaper. And in a lot of ways, it still makes it more expensive, because the equipment you're using, the time you're doing, and the expertise to teach the people how to use that properly, and then make the checks. Even if you're doing terrestrial scanning, you're supposed to do the same checks that we do in photogrammetry or aerial mapping, any of that, to prove it. So you still have to. The traditional surveying is not going away. There is a place for it and everything. And last I checked, you can't do a boundary with the scanner. There's just no way unless the rod's sticking out of the ground.
I have to thank you for that, because I've kind of coined this phrase in the last few months with clients. Don't judge me by the time it takes me to acquire the data, but judge me on the quality data I deliver. We were on a job where we saved the client $100,000. We were there for 2 hours and they wanted to pay us $300.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take a percentage of what we saved you.
Why'd you tell them how long you were on site?
They were there watching it.
Oh, yeah, that's a big mistake.
A big mistake. Yeah.
And
as an industry too, we have a challenge. We're traditionally based as T&M, right? So they look at that and go, well, we're hiring you because it's faster. No, my output might be faster, and it doesn't matter what it takes me in the field, but you're getting it faster. So why are you trying to nickel and dime me down lower than the extra mobilization fee you were paying the other guys to get out there in a week when we're delivering it to you in a week? You should be paying us more, right? And would you agree with that, Cody and Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're paying for expertise. It's, when you hire an engineer to do a project, do you hire them to get it done or done right? It's the same thing. We're a consultant. We're a professional. Especially as a surveyor, we're licensed. We got to go through the same process.
And that's why I'm so concerned with that race to the bottom on costs.
Yes.
Yes.
There's some projects that I won't even take a look at anymore. It's not worth my time to price it out when I know somebody's going to come in and do it for, I'm not even going to get into how low they can do stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's the race to the bottom, and that mentality you have to, get over. And the only way you can do that, Mark, is, you can fly a project a lot faster, but they're getting a more complete data set.
Yes.
They're getting much more data than they normally would have gotten. And so it's that time that you put into getting that part of it right, that they get the data correct and right, and more of that data, that you need to help them understand. And some people will and some people won't.
Thank you. And Cody, can I lease your alphabets so I can put it on LinkedIn? Can I pay like $500 a month for your letters?
Sure.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay, cool. If I have your letters, I can retire tomorrow.
You're golden.
How about you just pay me? I'll let you use the letters. I don't care.
I don't give a shit about water.
No, that's he likes dirt.
He likes dirty water.
I'm a dirt guy.
He's a dirt guy. So let's circle back to ASPRS. So the certified photogrammetrist certification, that is managed or executed, I guess, by ASPRS. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about the certified mapping scientist? Is that another ASPRS certification?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
They both are, and the technologists as well.
And okay. So what is the technologist? What is that?
The guy in the
certified field. Technologist. Certified. What is that one? What is that?
He could be a certified mapping technologist in UAS, or a certified mapping technologist in LiDAR. Right?
Okay.
So it's a certified mapping technologist or a certified photogrammetric technologist. Big Shoots was a CPT before he was a CP.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so it's a stepping stone, right? Okay.
It is, but you can. The difference is the kind of the professional aspect of it. So the technologist is going to be somebody that's going to be kind of just doing that day-to-day redundancy work over and over again.
Gotcha.
Whereas the photogrammetrist or the mapping scientist is going to be somebody that's overseeing the projects, can take the project from planning to deliverable, and manage all
and
the
taking the liability
process.
Yeah, taking the
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure. So from an ASPRS perspective, what does it take to be able to sit for those different certifications? What are the requirements?
You want me to go, Bill, or you want to get?
Why don't you go first, and then I'll chime in, I guess.
All right, the short and sweet, they put as technologist is 3 years experience, a mapping scientist or photogrammetrist is 6 years experience. Now, how that comes, different ways, whether you've got your master's, your doctorate, and then so much experience out in the field. There's different variations for it, but that's kind of the short and sweet of the difference to sit for it. You apply, then you go through a peer review, making sure you've gotten that experience per their little spectrum they give you, and then you take a test. And this is, I think it's still at a 2-hour exam. Bill, is that correct? Or
Yeah, I think they limited it 2 hours. It's now not proctored. It's not a proctored exam on site. It's now an online exam that you take, a computer exam. You can take it at your house, or like where I'm at here. You could elect to take it here. I would not advise anybody to do that. I would go to one of the testing centers, because they'll have testing centers in most of the major cities. Because if you're doing it at home, they observe you and they bother you, is what I've heard, because they're, hey, your window's open, or you can't get up and move. They're telling you stuff when you should be concentrating on a test, where you don't have that issue at the testing center. So yeah, it's just simply you submit an application once you think that you have the experience and the years in industry. We'll look at the application as part of the peer review process. Once you pass the peer review process, then you're able to sit for the exam. Once you pass your exam, you get your CP, your CMS, your CPT, whatever you're sat for.
When I applied, there wasn't like an online tutorial or classes to take. They sent me a list of like 30 books.
Yeah.
Still the case?
it is. It's kind of funny, because I was in the meeting today with them going over this. Right. Every Wednesday we have our big national meeting, and specifically going over that. Nobody has provided enough training, and not training, enough classes to show. You take your PLS exam in most states, you could pull up, okay, this is what I need to study to get those. They don't. They're trying to develop it more. Yeah. They have a hard position of trying to teach the exam. They feel like if you're able to go for it and feel you have the experience, then you should have the expertise, instead of taking people, okay, these are the exact things to study, and you can get it.
Yeah, but my point was, when I looked at it, is okay, I'll go buy the books, but what of the content might I be missing? If there was a training syllabus, as it were, even if I didn't take the exam, I would have been a better professional from having absorbed some or only the relative information that I needed for, what I want to do. It's a lot easier for me to, hire professionals with your pedigree and trust them and know enough about what I've done, because I've been doing it since 2014 to know if you're giving me a bunch of crap. But I, if it means anything, I would appreciate having a syllabus and being able to dive in and
now
chapter.
I'm sorry, there is a breakdown that they give you of how much percentage of like if you're going for your CP. So I don't know the percentage right off the top of my head, but I believe it's like 20 or 30% is directly CP related or photogrammetric related. And then a lot of the others, they break it down by general geography, different areas. And those types of questions are very similar to like in surveying, taking your PS or your FS exam, the initial parts, and then having your very specific, like you're going for your state, very specific part on that for each license or certification.
Is it safe to say it's a bit of a work in progress?
It's safe to say that it's a challenge for ASPRS, and I'll speak directly to this because I've dealt a lot with it. So ASPRS is the entity that's giving the examination. We're accredited through CESB, and they're talking about the CESB accreditation, whether or not they need it right now. I think that they still need to have something like that. But the feeling has been, much like surveying, photogrammetry has been something that's been taught through experience, not through a course. There are, photogrammetric courses at some universities, not very many, probably not as many as there are surveying programs. And that's one of the problems. But ASPRS has the kind of dueling philosophies depending on who you're talking to there at National. One of them is on the certification side is that we're giving the exam so that we have to keep ourselves completely clean of any kind of people looking at us and saying that we're trying to help people with the exam. But there are other agencies that administer exams, but also prepare you for the exams. TSPS is one of them in Texas Society of Professional Surveyors. And I think that ASPRS needs to do that as well. Now, Mark, to answer your question specifically, there are resources other than just the listing of books that we have that have been put together by other ASPRS professionals, but not necessarily sponsored content by ASPRS.
Understood.
So there is a certification webinar. I think it's 4 to 6 hours. I forget the time length on just general certification. And then there's one on certification for LiDAR as well. And there's a PowerPoint that comes along with it. And there's some resources with that PowerPoint that I would suggest that anybody that's going to look into certification goes through those webinars at least. And then there's books that, that Cody and I could recommend and other resources. But it is a challenge. And I think that's one of the things that I'd like to do at the Gulf South region is develop some resources for helping with the certification exams that we have, the multiple exams that we have. And so that will be a process that we're working on. But
Would
it
you
is an
mind
issue.
sharing those links with us so we can share it with our listeners? Because I think it's invaluable to raising the level of the industry and bringing it up.
Yeah.
I don't think ASPRS needs to lower itself to the common denominator, but I think those that are serious about the industry like myself, I would welcome any additional education to just to be a better participant within the space.
Hey, Bill, real quick. So you mentioned the things that the goals and objectives for the Gulf South region. And I don't know anything about the leadership of ASPRS or what their goals or objectives are, to be honest with you. But do they allow you that, I don't know, creative freedom, for lack of better terms, to do exactly what you're wanting to do with that region?
Yes, by and large. I mean, there's some things that they want us to do that we need to do. We have, certain members are state representatives. We like to have them be on the HQ calls that Cody referred to. There's a weekly call that ASPRS has, and they deal with different issues each week on that call. We also have, I believe it's the president and vice president for the region that are our representatives that should be on that call listening to, so that they can kick down the information that we're hearing from National to us. But so like for the student chapter, they have a student chapter program for higher education. I threw out to them that I want to start one for a K-12 ISD in Texas, and I've got one that's interested in there. And essentially their answer was, okay, figure it out, the program, and then come back to us and we'll talk with you about it. And it should be okay. I'm going to look at the program that they have for higher education and model it off of that to the extent that I can, and go from there. And hopefully the Gulf South will figure out some new and better ways to make revenue as we go through things here. And we'll have some more money that we can throw at student type activities and helping get more resources into students. Both Cody and I are extensively working with ISDs in Texas. He's in the Houston area. I'm up in North Texas in the Dallas area. I'm a part of the North Central Texas UAS Safety and Integration Task Force. I'm part of the North Central Texas Air Robotics Initiative, which is 11 ISDs that are invested into drone programs. And they work with industry partners to help them get money from TEA for these programs. And we've gotten, grant funding to the tune of almost $1 million sometimes for these 11 ISDs to work on these drone programs. And I've tried to instill in them to incorporate into them workforce development ideas to their STEM and P-Tech coordinators, because I always want to hear about surveying as a career and geospatial as a career. And UAS is that shiny object that the students love, and it brings them in. And I just let them know that could be a career for them, like Mark Taylor has. You can get your own company, or there's other applications that you can go into after that in geospatial, either as a technologist, as a technician working on projects, becoming a photogrammetrist, becoming a surveyor, engineer, architect, etc. And so it's
Bill
it's a
Swope,
good thing to involve them.
Yeah,
Bill
nice.
Swope.
Nicely done. Yes, very
Bill
impressive.
Swope. There's only one. There's only one. Hey, if there's anybody that pushes the envelope and is constantly trying to like bring things to the next level, it's Bill. I've known Bill for a really long time, and he's been very instrumental in for the Arizona surveyors when he was here in Arizona, and now obviously he's making his mark in Texas as well. So, way to go, Bill! Way to go!
Can I have
Well,
one?
Ken,
I got a
want
couple
to
more
kick it back to. I just want to say one thing, Ken, about that.
Yeah.
You were a model for me for what I'm doing, working with associations and societies, and so I'll
look
just
at
go back
that.
there. Ken did a lot of great things in Arizona, and he caught my attention, and so
He said "did." It's like I'm a has-been. Did you hear that? He's not doing shit anymore. But
you
he
started,
did a
you
lot.
started
Well,
messing up
you're
the
doing
podcast.
Geoholics now.
You're really gobbling up all your free time. So
Yeah.
Hey, Cody, I do have two things I want to make sure we talk about real quick. And I haven't heard Cody's voice in a while, so I'm going to bring him in on this one. So the future of photogrammetry. There's so much talk right now about, artificial reality, virtual reality, mixed reality,
and your favorite topic,
the metaverse.
There it is.
Is there a place for photogrammetry within all this crazy evolving technology?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to what Bill said before. Don't push it away, embrace it. Help it with our industry, help integrate it. And that's what it has to be, because it's going to be here. It's coming. It's already here. And the more you help develop it and give guidance, the better it'll be. The better it will serve us in our industry, better it'll serve the public. And that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to make our jobs easier, and we want to make the future, the students, their jobs easier in the future. And it's an integration. That's the only way to handle it and the only way to look at it.
Yeah, very well said. And it's like when you look at the geospatial umbrella and what it covers, it's surveyors, it's photogrammetrists, it's GIS professionals. It's crazy when you think about it. And there's a way for us all to collectively come together and just really blow the whole geospatial thing up, because we're in a geospatial moment, Sean.
Yes.
Have you heard that before?
For the record, I had a conversation with Kent earlier today that we have mentioned.
I told you I was going to get it in tonight.
Every episode for the last 40 that, yes, the quote, we are in a geospatial moment. I think we have all accepted, but if it's a moment, that moment has lasted for at least a year now. So it's no longer a moment. We're just in a geospatial realm of existence.
Yes. Strap in. It's going to be a while.
Yes.
What else? You guys got anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask to Bill and Cody, but we'll go with Cody first. Cody, what is your favorite UAS?
I like the Wingtra. I like.
I love you.
Just because it's the vertical takeoff, and then it still covers everything as a fixed wing.
Never gets boring. Yeah, we've actually launched 3 at the same time and videoed it. It was pretty epic.
So what's on that note? I mean, I definitely want to make sure that Bill answers this, but so the Wingtra has been around for how long?
5 years now.
5 years. So there hasn't been anything over the course of the last 5 years better than the Wingtra come out?
There's a lot that, in my opinion, there's a lot that have tried and they've done some things better, but the overall reliability, the overall consistent accuracy, I mean, come on, it's the Swiss, and they're worse than dealing with the bloody Germans. They and I got the privilege of hanging out for 2 days with Basil, the guy who invented it. It actually came out as a joke in a theoretical aeronauticals class, and that's the design he came up with. But I mean, we go on site and we fire them off. One of our birds we retired after 230,000 acres on it because I just didn't want to fly it just in case.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beast. How about you, Bill?
I like the M600.
Oh yeah.
I know it's going to be going away, but we have a couple of them, and it's kind of our workhorse.
You know, there's a new one coming, right?
Yeah, we're looking at we're maybe going the gas or hydrogen route.
A Harris system or something.
Yeah, there you go. We're looking at exactly.
Yeah.
And
Can't
just
get a Forest Service
flight
job.
time.
By the way, you can't get a Forest Service job with that.
Yeah, the blue list is now, it's something that we've started to look into. It's not blue listed.
No, it's not a question of that. It's the potential fire hazard with battery and gas. They don't like it.
Yeah.
And they're a big consumer of drone systems, as you probably know. But yeah,
I wonder about the noise. That's the one thing that I'm concerned about.
Yeah, there is the dB rating. You're absolutely right for, the small spotted newt owl or whatever. There's 3 of them left in the world.
Wait, you mean there's not a UAV that can spot that owl yet?
So a famous question that got into a very contentious argument was, Mark, we have 1,000 acres and we want you to track deer because we have a deer migration problem and we want you to use infrared. My response was, so, in the military, the first thing the soldiers do to evade discovery is they find a deer, they kill it, and they wear its skin. You can't find an animal with infrared like that.
Interesting.
So you have better luck with a methane sensor because you can actually pick up their breath, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So once they're bedded down, you can't find them with infrared.
Crazy. See, Bill, before we let you get out of here, I would like to hear kind of what your thought. You've been in this business for a long time. I mean, where do you see this going over the next 5 years?
Well, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. It's with automation. It's with AI. I mean, we're already, messing with it at half quite a bit. I was just on the phone with our guy in GIS who's actually running our AI and machine learning. That's going to be the next thing, I think, automating the data as much as we can possibly automate it. I think that's where it's going. Hopefully it won't lead to the singularity or whatever. So.
Hey, well, Skynet's already hit, right?
Yeah, crazy. What else, Mark? Anything else before we scoot out?
No, as I said, serious #man crush.
Hey, thanks for being here, man. You added lots to the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
I do have to mention one comment from our YouTube live stream that they wanted to thank HAF for hosting so many CST exams. And I thought, Kent, you would like that.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yes,
I'm a huge proponent of the CST exam. Huge. In fact, we have one at the Alta office. 1st of April? Whatever that weekend is. We have one scheduled. Yep. Big proponent. Bill, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm lucky. Again, the survey practice leader, Vas Calliero at HAF is really progressive. He's been doing these survey instructional courses for not only CST, but SIT and your license for a long time. And he's just dedicated to it. He's one of these guys that just loves to teach people about surveying.
Yep, absolute rock star.
That kind of stuff is infectious, and he's you have been infectious on me. You've given me your your virus or whatever you have, which is your ability to your ability to be positive about things and see where the light's coming from and move towards that light. I mean, that's the way I like to look at things.
There is one thing I'd like to ask you guys as we let you guys go and any parting words you have, but we talk about mentors a lot on the show. So, as you say, Cody and Bill, any parting words before we get out of here? If there is a mentor you'd like to mention or talk about who really helped you get to where you are, do you have anybody you'd like to throw out there? Bill, I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna throw this right at Kent, actually. As far as photogrammetry, it wasn't Kent that did that for me. But again, a lot of the things that I've taken from what I saw and what he was doing in Arizona with the surveying community and the ideas that he had, I kept. And as I moved on in my career, I thought that some of those ideas were pretty good ideas that were useful and could be incorporated now. So as much as anybody, I mean, as far as photogrammetry, I'd say Lyle Slater at Aerotech Mapping. But as far as my career in geospatial and professional services, I'd say Kent Grow has had a lot to do with my ambitions.
Wow.
We're screwed when we.
I know.
Right? Oh my God.
Remember how I told you the other day that I just act dumb on purpose?
Yeah.
Hey, now the truth comes out.
Sure. Okay, let's talk to somebody with some
common sense.
Some more common sense. Yeah. Cody, what do you got over here?
Yeah.
So I have to initially go. Who got me in the?
He's going to say Kent. He's going to say Kent.
My father pushing it on me as a kid, and then really my two professors from college, Dr. Jeffress and Dr. Mensa, expanded my knowledge of getting the photogrammetry, the remote sensing, not just the surveying, the boundaries and the topos and Alta surveys.
Cool.
So Cody, what's one of your fondest memories as when it comes to surveying?
Well, Bill first. I got to think about that one.
So what generation surveyor are you?
Second generation.
Second generation surveyor. Okay, so
Yeah.
you started surveying with your father then?
Yes.
Probably the time he didn't have to drag a chain and level across.
But see, when I worked with my father, that was the one thing through high school and everything. I knew absolutely I did not want to be a surveyor. I only realized I wanted to be surveying when I got out and realized that, hey, I could actually make money and do something and be outside and do different things. When I was doing it as a kid, it was the last thing I ever wanted to do in life.
Right.
Isn't that interesting? So many stories out there. I love it. How about you, Sean? Anything else?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
A lot of good stuff here, guys.
Really good stuff. Bill, Cody, anything else you want to throw out there before we get out of here?
I just want to thank y'all for having me. Hopefully I didn't mess it up too much.
You did great, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Look fantastic, mate.
Yep. How about you, Bill?
Yeah, no, thanks for having us on and thanks for doing this. Again, it's, we talked about this a long time ago, Ken. This is something that was needed. It's taken off like wildfire. You guys are 160 episodes or short one of that, I guess right now. That's pretty amazing. But I love the fact that you're getting geospatial information about surveying and photogrammetry and LiDAR and all that kind of stuff out there to folks. And good job. Thanks for doing this.
I do have one quick plug. We do have our region, our business meeting and convention coming up in June. We'll be sending out a notice on that towards the end of the month. It'll be posted on the web. I think it's Bill's June 15th and 16th, correct?
June 15th and 16th. You're right, Cody. And Kent, let's talk about, involving Geoholics with it.
We should do it, man. It would be so much fun.
Absolutely.
No question.
Definitely. And if anybody's going to be at Geo Week for ASPRS and ILMS and MAPS and everybody that's going to be in Denver in February, we will be doing a Gulf South region in-person meeting there.
Oh my gosh, the Geoholics are going to be there.
Geoholics will be in Denver for Geo Week.
Then we will definitely have to have some drinks.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds good.
All right. Trouble has begun early.
Oh yeah.
All right.
From a lowly drone guy, Cody and Bill, thank you. You've given me a lot of inspiration and thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for the humility. I appreciate that.
Yeah, really.
All right. Great show, guys. Thanks again to Bill and Cody for being here, adding value and making friends. That's what we do.
That is what we do.
Great example. If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. Based on our meeting before the show this evening, I believe we're almost booked through the first quarter, correct?
Yeah, we've got one slot in March, and then trying to book in April. So please reach out.
Reach out. Jason Bolin and the Stragglers. Pearl Snaps available everywhere. Until next time, everyone, tame your monkey brain. Most importantly, be safe and healthy.
Now the stars are all falling out of the sky. The doors are all locked and the bottle is dry. So pass me a chew and I'll sing you a song. If there's a problem with that,
Boom.
Good job, guys.
That was awesome. So
Nice.
good. So good. You guys crushed it, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, especially you, Cody. It's like you've done it 1,000 times.
I doubt that, but thank you.
Next time, try it naked, mate. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah, Mark's.
Well, I am waist down. I didn't